Right now, I'd like to bring up Representative Sara Cambensy. Representative Cambensy recently came up with an idea about our state's failing UIA system, how to improve it, and I understand she submitted a letter to the governor. And so we're here today to have this hearing, and later we'll hear from the public about our state's UIA system and their experiences. And I thought at the beginning it would be appropriate to allow Representative Cambensy some time to talk about the letter that she submitted and what she's hearing in her district up north, and any ideas that you have, Representative Cambensy, on how we can solve our state's system or how to improve it. So welcome, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. My office, just like many of yours, it's getting to the point where we need some resolution on these UIA cases. And with the new CRTIS system, the Curtis system, as they call it, there are efficiencies that my staff have found that many of your staff are doing the same things, where you can categorize cases. You can actually look at whether they are non-monetary, whether it's someone who simply just put a wrong number in, messed up something while making their claim on the phone and certification. About half of the cases currently in my queue, and we had 391 unresolved cases at the time I wrote the letter last week. We're up to 425 with only 43 resolved. Half of the cases my staff are seeing could be easily resolved. We're talking a 2 to 5 minute conversation if they could just get through to someone at the UIA office. If they could just say, you know what, this is what I did, this is what I need fixed, I'm good to go, no other questions. And so when I look at the amount of time my staff is spending on this, how much time they have spent since we went into the lockdown, if we cannot work with the unemployment agency at this point to streamline and help them be more efficient, we're going to continue to go on being frustrated. We're going to continue to go on battling each other. And in the end, we're going to have people with unresolved cases going on 5, 6, and 7 weeks without money. You heard from my colleague, our colleague on the House floor yesterday, Representative Mueller, that he actually had a call this past week where someone was threatening their life. I mean, if we think about what it would be like to go without pay for 3 months, I don't think any of us would stand for it. And our staff are on the front line shielding a lot of this anger. They are taking a lot of the frustrations that our constituents have. And I think that that's part of the problem, is that our staff are being treated basically just like receptionists that are there to feed these cases once they're all in the computer, all neat, over to the UIA officials with no timeline back, no responses. They sit on staff calls for about an hour a week. A lot of us have caucus calls where we do the same thing. At some point, we have to come together and say this is wasting a lot of time. And so, Mr. Chair, the point of my letter was basically to put it out there that you need to be utilizing us if we're going to be team players, and our office staff are going to help you to get those efficiencies down. And the best way my staff and I talked about doing this was following the model that the Secretary of State has started, which is to start reopening on a very limited basis, opening the phone lines back up in those regional offices, and getting people the help they need. Last, I just want to talk about my experience before being a legislator. I ran our district's GED program. And oftentimes, administrators, different principals would get calls from my constituents, and they would say, why can't they just go online and do it? It's all right there. They could just do everything themselves. Why do they, they're calling all over, they want to talk to someone. And I think at this point, it's a major failure if we don't realize that some people, especially in my district, either don't have access to internet, maybe they don't have the savvy to go around and navigate a system, but also it's the simple fact that some people just prefer to actually talk to someone and do business that way. And I think we have to accommodate that. We have to accommodate the people that want that interaction, or we're setting ourselves up for failure. And I think at this point, Mr. Chair, it's come to a head, and I really would appreciate a meeting, an explanation from the department on why this reopening of the local offices is not happening. So thank you.
Representative Calley?
Thank you very much, Representative. I completely agree, and I'm wondering if you have heard a response to your letter.
I've not heard any response, not from the governor's office nor the UIA director or any of his staff listed on the letter.
Representative O'Malley?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Representative, thank you. I guess more of a statement, you can agree or disagree, but I have the same feeling. Our staffs and all of us, this is depressing. We're hearing these stories, and I have the same feeling that if we could just get some actual eyeballs on each one of these cases, and when we've had testimony, at least my impression from the answers is they're looking at the computer programs, they're not necessarily looking at the stories and the situation. And somehow, some way, you're right, we have to get those offices back open so that you can have a little human interaction. So I'm with you 100%. Thank you.
And if I can just add, my front desk came in at the beginning of May, so he didn't live through the first 2 months of this with us. And right away, when the system shifted over to the Curtis system, he said, wow, this would be really easy if I had one person at the UIA office I could actually talk to and say, you know what, here are the 140 cases that actually, you know, very simple to fix. Again, they just need 2 minutes with someone. Here are the other ones that are going to be more complicated. Here are the fraud cases. I mean, our staff can do that, but right now, all they're doing is putting the information in the system, and it's sitting there, and they're hoping that someone will get to it. And again, if we're going to be team players, let's find those efficiencies and do it. This isn't meant to bash the department or the administration or anything like that. It's to say, if you utilize us and you utilize our staff, that again are very familiar now with this program, we can help you and you can help us. And it just seems like the obvious thing to do at this moment in time.
All right, and I see according to your letter, I think it says, at least on May 4th, 391 cases, 29 had been resolved. And I'm seeing in my office about, you know, they told us a few weeks, what was it, 2 weeks ago, they said, okay, it's 4 weeks. Well, now it's over 4 weeks. I'm hearing about 5 weeks. So, you know, I know in our offices, we're supposed to help with those most serious cases. I mean, when they fail the normal route, they come to our office. And so at that point, they've waited many weeks. And now the fast track is calling my office or your office and now waiting 5 weeks. And that's way too long. But is that what your experience is? Is it now creeping up to more than 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, we're on 5 weeks in our office, but we still have several claims. We have 3 in the old system that haven't been resolved. And then we have several from May 4th. So again, you know, we're 5 weeks going on 6 weeks at this point. And people understand, but at some point when they've made a simple mistake, I don't blame them for wanting resolve a little bit quicker.
And do you have one of these, is there at least one of these regional offices in the Upper Peninsula? Do you know where they are?
We have one in Marquette.
In Marquette? Yeah. Is that the only one in your district?
There's one, yes. There's one in Representative LaFave's district. We do have Michigan Works, which again, they're partnering right now to help take on some of these cases. But really, a lot of these people, the furlough is messing it up. I know that's a bone of contention with a lot of us, that you have these people that need help, and you know, our state employees are off a day a week. So I can't imagine trying to reschedule an entire office and taking out one day a week and trying to plug everyone back in. So I'll save those comments for another day, but I really do think at this point, if they would just give our staff some time and listen to us, we can help them resolve some of this stuff.
And you had a number of representatives join you on this letter. Looks like bipartisan. I see 12, is it 12 representatives joined you on this?
Yeah, and we had more. Again, we sent it out with a day notice on Friday, last Friday, but we had more that came up after and said, sorry, I missed the deadline. I just didn't see it in time, but I support this effort.
Great. Well, I don't see any. Oh, Senator Lasada.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Representative Cambensy. It seemed like in the beginning, there was like kind of a system, right? And my district person, Dan, he got really good at doing, yeah. At one point, they actually put his email on the UIA site, and we had to get it off. But so he's really good, and he understood it. But then there came a point where he was getting no information, and he would talk to people because they do, right? They can't get a hold of anyone, and they just want somebody to talk to say at least someone's trying to help them.
Yep.
So I'm going to just read you a quick letter I just got last night from a constituent. Hi, I messaged you last week, and I received a phone call from Sonia at the unemployment office, and she explained to me what the holdup was for my claim. I went into my account and did what she told me to do, which was rectifying all the previous, which was recertifying all the previous weeks. She told me that once that was completed, a manager would have to okay them, and my money should be in my account today, which was Wednesday. She also said she would call me today, making sure my money was in there, which it wasn't, and no call from her either. Then I received an email that I attached to this email, and it says, your duplicate PUA application cannot be processed because you have an active claim. So I know what you're saying about the frustration, and Dan can direct people to where they can get help for food and maybe utility things and things like that the community is helping out on. But when they actually need money, there's nothing we can do. And when there is no money, we can't. Something's got to get done today, not next week, or finally we've got it resolved. We got to get people help today, because that's why we're here. And if we can't help them, then I don't know what we're doing here. And somebody needs to listen to you, to your colleagues, to our constituents, that we need help now. And if you can't do it, if it's not working, then get someone in there, get people in there to help, because it has to get done today, and they need help today. So thank you for listening to the letter. So.
And have you heard any reason why the UIA regional offices like the one in Marquette cannot reopen by appointment only safely and sensibly? Have you heard any pushback since you submitted this letter?
I haven't heard anything, and again, it's been almost a week, but it's another week people are going without, and I just think it would probably be good to hear, and I'm guessing why the Secretary of State decided to move forward. You have people every day that need renewals on their driver's license or tags or simple things. They again have to transfer stuff from one vehicle to the next, from maybe a father who no longer drives to a son or whatever. Can be simple issues, but simply being closed, not having the option to have people come in and get help quickly. What I'm seeing happen with the UIA is that because there's an unwillingness to look at a different way to do things, their plate just keeps getting stacked up. And you're not able to clear things off of it. And I think our staff, all of our staff have found efficiencies in how to do that and help them if they would just invite them in to be part of the solution, and that's not happening. And I think that's where it's just frustrating us, it's frustrating your constituents. But I think the Secretary of State figured that out, and I'd like to see the UIA office follow their lead.
All right. Well, thank you, Representative Cambensy, for your leadership on this, and
Thank you.
I certainly hope that the UIA or the governor's office reach out to you soon, and you can work with them on a plan to reopen these offices safely by appointment and be more responsive to the constituents with that face-to-face contact for the people of Michigan. And I will certainly ask this of Director Gray on Wednesday when he's here before this committee, try to get answers for the people of Michigan about how we reopen these offices. So thank you for drawing attention to this. We appreciate you coming today. Thank you.